Cool, well, I'm so tired and I can do nothing for you. Can you just shut up, please? No, it looks like your lady bits are like falling out afterwards. You don't even want to push anything out ever again. It's a must-have, in my opinion. You know, girls, when you have your periods and you move and it goes... What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. This morning I wanted to sit down with you guys and talk about postpartum. Truth be told, I have filmed this 2 other times before this in the last month, and mum brain, baby schedules, it just means that every single time I've done it, I've missed stuff or I haven't explained it how I fully wanted to. So I'm hoping that I can get through it now. Bear with, let's make this work and let's jump right into it. I want it to be as gory as I possibly can keep it, as honest as normal. I obviously want everything that's on this channel to be super raw, super real. That's what you guys seem to be connecting with the most, and actually that's just motherhood, and if I don't have that personal outlet, I think I'll explode. I wanted to start with the first week. So my first experience of postpartum was when I had my first shower. Lots of other mums had said to me, you know, it looks like your lady bits are like falling out afterwards, and I was petrified at the thought of that. So I remember saying to Jesse, can you please look and tell me what it looks like? He was like, it's okay, it's just a bit puffy, but it's okay. When I was standing in the shower, I remember thinking to myself, my stomach was so rock solid and now it is so squishy. It's so confusing when you first give birth because your tummy is so rock solid when you've got the baby in there and like your uterus and all of that stuff. But then as soon as you give birth, it all kind of like starts to contract down. That's like a whole thing, like your mind being like, whoa, this is an empty baby belly now. Like I still had a big belly, but it was half the size compared to what it was. I was really lucky. I'll go into obviously everything in my labor vlog. P.S. yes, that will come, but it's quite a traumatic thing, so I've just been giving myself some time still to process it and to kind of figure out, anyway, that's its own thing. I was really lucky that I didn't tear in my labour, but I did get a graze internally, so my midwife explained it to be like if I had fallen over and skinned my knee, that's what the inside of my vagina was like. If I had torn, it obviously would have looked quite different, and bear in mind, I didn't get him to look like up. I just stood in front of him and was like, how does it look? Moving on. After that, they get you to pee. They give you urine sachets in the hospital just to take the edge off with peeing. Obviously everything down there is incredibly stressed. Everything has been stressed to its limits. So they give you the urine sachets, and I also had a spray which I would spray onto that whole region down there. It is this Nature's Touch Relief Spray, and it is specially created to provide relief to your swollen, bruised perineum or hemorrhoids. It's got witch hazel, lavender and tea tree, which soothes, calms and reduces swelling whilst promoting healing. And it would also just take the edge off. I obviously bought that one. I'll link it down below. It's a must-have in my opinion. You have to have your first pee when you're at the hospital to ensure that everything's working, to ensure you're okay. And I probably used the urine sachets for probably the first 2 days, and then I just found that it was fine to just use my spray. With going toilet, one day after birth, you are gonna have to poo. And let me tell you that that is the most daunting feeling after you have had a baby. You don't even want to push anything out ever again. It probably took me 3 days to go poo. And I just want to give you a tip right here, right now, at the beginning of this video, that you want these bad boys. Stool softener. Honestly, you can get it from any chemist warehouse, any chemist really. At the birth centre where we went afterwards, one midwife came in and she goes, have you pooed yet? And I remember looking at her and going, no, I'm too scared, I don't want to. And she was like, you're just going to make it worse for yourself if you don't. You really need to try to. And truth be told, with the stool softener, it's lovely. Mind over matter with that one. Honestly, you just have to bite your teeth and get through it. It really is worse in your imagination than what it is in real life. But that my next baby, you can best believe that will be in my hospital bag again. So after we gave birth, another thing in postpartum that I didn't really think of or really know, but just by happy coincidence had this in the car, was a nursing pillow, and it's a U-shaped pillow, and I actually sat on it on the way to the birth centre. So it's this, and I actually sat on it because obviously all of my lady bits were extremely puffy, so sore, so stressed out, you could not sit. So being able to sit on this and basically have no pressure was amazing. Another thing with postpartum that I didn't realise is that I was going to be wearing a bra non-stop for the next foreseeable future. I pretty much have only just now, 4 months in, stopped wearing a bra at night time. I mean, I've done that twice in the last week. It's just because at the very beginning, your boobs are non-stop leaking. I would take my clothes off to go in the shower and they'd just leak everywhere all over the floor. They'd just be leaking. It honestly is like you're a cow. They don't leak like that anymore. They've stabilized themselves with the milk supply, but in the beginning, it's non-stop. So that and an adult diaper, that was my uniform of motherhood for the first month. I don't think I wore clothes unless we had visitors who wouldn't be okay with seeing me like that. Then nah, I was just literally wearing that, and it was a flesh coloured diaper, and my mum used to say to me, it honestly looks like you're naked when you walk around, and I was like, deal with it. When we were actually at the birth centre, the first 3 days right after birth, definitely didn't wear any clothes the entire time there, and to be honest, my bra, it was those maternity ones that pop down and so that it just flops open. I was walking around with that. They were just out floating around because my nips were so sore, and you're breastfeeding so often with the baby, so I was wanting my boobs to be able to breathe, to be able to, heal. In birth centre they had different midwives on tap that would just always come in and check on you, and so every 8 hours they would change. So every single time someone came in, I'd be like, open, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Chloe, this is Wolf, this is my husband Jesse, or I wouldn't even talk to them and they'd come over and be like, do you want some help? And I'd be like, yeah. You don't care. You pretty much don't have any shame, and that's just a very normal part of it. But I really want to go into a breastfeeding chat in its own little bit. So that was honestly the mum uniform. And not only was that diaper brilliant for bleeding, because I bled, guys. I bled. Let's talk about the bleeding first. When you first give birth at the hospital, they give you diapers, they give you disposable underwear, and they actually make you a diaper with those blue puppy pee pads, those training pads for puppies. They fold it into one super long strip and they put normal pads on top of it. After I gave birth and I lay down, I don't think I moved for like 2 hours. You know, girls, when you have your period and you move and it goes, imagine that on steroids, okay? Imagine it. So I don't think I moved because I was like, oh, I just don't want to deal with it. I'm too tired. But you had to change your pad every hour and a half to 2 hours. But that's why I moved on to the diapers, because when you're exhausted and you have this puppy pad full of blood that falls out of your underwear onto the floor, no, you just want a diaper that you can go whoop whoop. 100% recommend them to you, my friends. They are going in every single gift that I give to my friends who get pregnant from now on. You're welcome. Not only were they amazing for bleeding, and I was aware of the bleeding. I bled for 6 weeks, just like I'd read that you would. Let me just quickly say that I actually bled for 4 weeks, and then I tried to go back on the pill and forgot to take it on day 2. So again, girls, you know exactly what happens. I got a period. Obviously you've pushed out a child, right? So all of your muscles, they're shot. That then means that you will pee yourself, potentially. Not for everyone, but for me, it absolutely did. And you know what, one time I really nearly did the other one. I've definitely worked on my pelvic floor muscles now, guys. I'm okay unless it's really cold outside and then I'm like, oh. So, didn't realise that I was going to be peeing myself. Sometimes I'd pull down my diaper to go toilet and I'd already have, I'd be peeing. TMI? I don't know. Do you care? I don't know. Do I care? No. So like I said before, with my nipples being so sore when I was first establishing breastfeeding, that was because Wolf actually had a tongue tie. So that means that this little bit attached all the way to the tip of his tongue. So he couldn't lift his tongue at all, which meant that when he was trying to learn to breastfeed, he was honestly just mashing on my nipple, like mashing it. Yes, that's as excruciating as it sounds. It just meant that they at the birth centre said to me, okay, you're getting quite damaged nipples. Do you want to try using a breast pump? And we can give your nipples a rest, and then that way your milk supply will still work and you can have a break. I was like, yes. So that first night, Wolf went through what you would call cluster feeding, which is where he was non-stop feeding. He didn't have any long stretch of sleep to then give me a break. He literally just ate every single hour for like 5 or 6 hours, and that's really normal. For 3 hours straight, I was literally pumping, pour it into a little cup. I'd get these little syringes and I'd put it into all the different syringes, and then I would feed Wolf because he would wake up by that stage. I want to talk about this again in the breastfeeding one, but I want to quickly tell you now so you understand. With the syringe, you put your finger in his mouth, you put the little syringe in there too, and then it kind of feels like he's still sucking on a nipple. GC was sleeping. I would feed him, I would change his nappy, burp him, put him back down, and then I would start to pump again. And then by the time I had pumped it, popped it into the little cup, popped it back into all the syringes, he was back awake. So that cycle went on for hours, like 3.5 to 4 hours, and I remember crawling to the bed and being like, you have to take over. I have to go to sleep. And so I think I managed to sleep for maybe an hour by the time that I then needed to re-wake up and re-pump, and that hour managed to perk me back up enough to survive. It is outrageous what the human body can actually withstand when they're in that phase. Hormones are crazy. So on my second night, I felt my milk coming in. So at the beginning, they're just drinking colostrum, which is just the super rich, dense, like probiotic, kind of like a condensed milk version of milk. My milk started to come in, which is where you're starting to get your actual breast milk. So my boobs were really engorged. They were going hot, they were getting lumps, and I was just feeling really achy. There's this thing that you can do where you can get cabbage, and you can put cabbage leaves in your bra, and then the cabbage actually can help with the engorgement. Really soothing, takes the pressure off, and it's really gross when you've had it on there for like 10 or 15 minutes. The cabbage leaf is like limp and warm. Thankfully by day 3 that whole process had stopped and I just had my milk. On that third night that we got home, GC actually let me kind of have the night off. I had probably only had 5 hours sleep across those 3 days, so I was like a cabbage myself. Like I just had nothing to give. We were starting to see visitors and I was just getting so run down. I was so tired. Obviously, having a child and having no time to recover after you've just gone through such a physical trauma. So GC let me have the night off, and I had a breast pump of my own. The Medela Swing, I'll chuck a photo in here. Love it, portable, so usable, runs on batteries. Honestly, people said to me, you don't need to get a breast pump. You don't know if you're gonna need it, but 100%, one of my ultimate purchases. I highly recommend it to anyone. GC let me go to sleep. And then I would pump and he would do all the rest. So I would continuously wake up. It's not that I had the night through. I continuously woke up to pump so that GC could feed him, and then GC would do all of it. And by all of it, I mean burp him, feed him, change him, settle him back down to sleep, and then obviously redo all of that again. Wolf was waking probably every 2 hours at that stage. In the night, GC would do one feed, and still does, and then I would get up and it was probably 12 a.m, 2 a.m, 4 a.m, 6 a.m, but at that point, Wolf would he would wake up because he needed to poo, or he was just grunting, or he was just crying, and it was so hard because it wasn't like you could actually do anything for them. His digestive system was processing new milk. I had full milk now. It wasn't just colostrum, so his digestive system was learning. So it was so hard to just sit there and be like, cool, well, I'm so tired and I can do nothing for you. Can you just shut up, please, so I can get some sleep? With my first week, my mum and dad came over on day 4 and they met Wolf. and my mum had booked to be in Auckland for 4 weeks. So I had asked her to come and to help for that first month. That's really Chinese culture, and I'm quarter Chinese, so mum's half. And my pawpaw died when I was 5, so I just knew that that was something I really wanted to bring into our healing experience. So she was there all day, every day, for a month. She was a lifesaver. That was the best thing I could have done. When you're a new mum, you're not supposed to handle it by yourself. It takes a village. All the cliches are true. Rely on people, find your people, and my mum was that for me. She was such a legend. She was so supportive. It was just such a brilliant way to start my journey. I know a few people were like a bit funny about the fact that she was with us, but truthfully, Jessie's so close with her, always has been. I'm so close with my mum. She's like my best friend. When I lived in Christchurch, we would always hang out that way. So it was such a special, precious time together. And then with Wolf being there as well, it was just like next level special. When I said before about visitors and how run down I was, I want to quickly touch on that. With the postpartum journey, I really needed to bond with Wolf. He's like this brand new thing. For me, it wasn't that instant rush and connection with the baby. I remember just looking at him and being like, I don't know what you want. I'm your mum. What does that even mean? How do I do that? And so I needed to bond with him. So when we had heaps of visitors, it just was really overwhelming for Wolf, and it was really overwhelming for me. Newborns are only supposed to be awake for like 30 to 45 minutes in that first 6 weeks. So it wasn't much window of time. So when you would have heaps of visitors, they'd be trying to, get him to interact with them. So he would get really stimulated, and then trying to get him back to sleep. If you'd missed that first window of when you should get him back to sleep, it was really hard. And then you're so run down and tired, saying the same thing to every single person about your labor, about how you are, about like how your sleep was last night. It was really intense, and it just meant that whenever I could get away from Wolf, I wanted to, instead of embracing it and embracing him. With the visitors, we cut it back to only having 1 a day, and you know what? Best decision we could have made. Yes, you might piss people off. Yes, you might upset your family, but actually you got to figure out what's right for you, and that's what was right for us. For me and Jessie to be able to bond with Wolf and have a really precious time with him and learn to fall in love with him, we needed to do that.